welcome to Badger Talks Live Quick Picks, which brings exciting happenings, resources, and talent from your UW flagship campus to the people of Wisconsin and beyond. I'm Alyssa Sagong, PBS Wisconsin's Chief Curiosity Officer. At PBS Wisconsin Education, curiosity powers our core values, which include a love of learning that unites across differences, a deep respect for the educators and community members who are making a difference every day, and a commitment to ensuring that high-quality educational media resources and services are free to use and available to all. One of the newest additions to our Wisconsin Biographies collection centers on the story of Geshe Lhundub Sopa, who brought the teachings of Tibetan Buddhism to the Midwest. This collection is designed for 3rd through 6th grade classrooms. And today I'm pleased to introduce Jampa Khedup, a UW-Madison Senior Lecturer for Tibetan Language, Culture, and Buddhism, who worked closely with Geshe Sopa and served as a cultural advisor for our project. Jampa began teaching at UW-Madison in 2005 and also serves as the current school principal of the Wisconsin Tibetan Language and Culture School, run by the Wisconsin Tibetan Association. He has been teaching Tibetan language, culture, Buddhist philosophy, and mindfulness meditation for the past 23 years. Besides his teaching, he generously shares his insights and experiences to help mentor new language instructors in the Department of Asian Languages and Cultures. He's an active community collaborator, volunteer, and participant in interfaith initiatives and dialogues. Jampa, thank you for joining me to share more about Tibetan Buddhism and the legacy of Geshe Sopa in Wisconsin and beyond. The project that we created together features a short animation, an image gallery, a digital book with audio tracks, and educator resources aligned to state standards. The digital book for the story is available in both English and Tibetan. So to get us started, let's take a peek at the first half of the animation titled Geshe Lhundub Sopa, Carrying Teachings from Tibet.
Ah, rural Wisconsin. Rolling farmlands, grazing cows, beautiful lakes and trees, and a Tibetan Buddhist temple. Wait, what? Yes, right here in Oregon, Wisconsin, a Tibetan Buddhist temple and monastery. A place for students of the Buddhist religion to live, study, and meditate, and for people of all ages to come and learn about Tibetan Buddhism and culture. But how did a temple like this end up here? Its story starts long ago, high up in the mountains of Tibet. Being a monk was what Lhundub Sopa had wanted ever since he was a boy. Monks devoted their lives to studying, helping others, and pursuing the path to enlightenment. But now that Lhundub was at the monastery, there was so much to memorize and learn. He was worried he'd never be able to accomplish it all, and then he'd be in trouble. In fact, he was so worried about doing a bad job that one day he decided to run away from school. He spent a whole night hiding by the gate of the school's monastery, and when morning came, he ran down the mountain and then hid in a barn. He was never going back. When he finally arrived home, his parents were surprised and even a little angry. What he did was dangerous. His parents let him stay for a few days, and when he returned to school, things weren't as bad as he had feared. His uncle at the monastery talked to his teacher. He could have more time for learning and memorizing. Without having to rush or worry about getting in trouble, things got much better for Lhundub Sopa. Soon, he was one of the best students in his school. Over time, Lhundub became highly respected for his understanding of Buddhist ideas. In fact, he was so knowledgeable that he became a teacher for other monks. When the Dalai Lama, the spiritual and political leader of Tibet, took his Buddhist degree exam, Lhundub Sopa was even chosen as one of the examiners. It was an incredible honor. But things were happening that would change.
So please watch the rest of the story at pbswisconsineducation.org and check out the additional materials that are part of the collection. Personally, I love the example Geshe Sopa's story offers kids from being someone struggling to keep up academically to becoming a world-renowned scholar. Jampa, could you share a little bit about why you think Geshe Sopa's story is helpful for Wisconsin school children to learn about?
Yeah, I think I would say we pick the best, the person to share with the school kids. I mean, when you look at the Geshe-La's story, there's so many instances. It itself can be like, big stories. Every little thing when Geshe-La was, um, participating in the debate with His Holiness Dalai Lama when His Holiness Dalai Lama was taking exam, Geshe exam. That is a one, important context there. And then when Geshe-La, someone like Geshe-La who was born in Tibet, far away from USA, and then coming to India and then coming to the USA and then teaching in the university, becoming a professor. And, when you look at all these stories, instances in Geshe-La's life, you know, it tells you, a few important things like, no matter what, you can, achieve your dreams, you can do things. And at the same time, kids can see that, how much effort and dedication it takes to become such. So yeah, I mean, this is a perfect, story to share with the kids. They can learn so many things from this, in a very short, like a 6-7 minutes of the animated film. Yeah, and whole different aspects of culture background, culture stories. Yeah, it's a perfect fit for stories to share with the little kids from a different culture.
One of the kids that I'm the most excited has been able to watch it is you have your own small child. And I think it means a lot for our Tibetan American children that live in Wisconsin to get to see themselves reflected, as well as for all of their neighbors to learn about a culture that might be different. And one thing that we learn in this story is about the creation of Deer Park Buddhist Temple, which has really been a catalyst for community and a place where we are all welcome to learn. It's also my understanding that Geshe Sopa's early work in Madison and his community building was essential to Madison becoming a key place where Tibetan refugee resettlement took hold. Could you share more about that and maybe about your own experience with Deer Park?
I think the Tibetan resettlement project that started like what in the 80s maybe, but Geshe-La and Geshe Sopa and then Deer Park Buddhist Center played a very important role in arranging together and hosting and inviting, giving a place um, for the newcomers, the Tibetans coming from India and then Nepal. And there are many students, senior students, and friends of, Deer Park or friends of Tibet. There are so many hundreds of people, are involved in this project, to make it, accomplish this big project. And then having the center itself established here in the middle of, town of Oregon, it's also a very important what do you call center where people can have access to Tibetan cultures and traditions, and then Buddhist philosophy and learning meditation, everything that is part of a Tibetan culture. So I would say that it is such a great blessing for people, especially for people in Wisconsin and living in these neighboring areas, that having Geshe-La come here and then settled here and building such a center. it is a great blessing for us because I can say that Geshe is an embodiment of Buddha's teaching. If you were to show or display Buddha's teaching in a physical form, that would be presenting Geshe, and then everything is in there. He is scholarly and internally disciplined, realized, highly realized. There are all these great qualities that are taught in Buddhism. It's all in there in one person. That's yeah, so it's such a blessing, and we're lucky to have had someone like a Geshe come here, and then the center established here, and also not just for the Tibetans, but that also give access to the non-Tibetans as well. There are teachings on Sundays, and I think Wednesdays and Thursdays. Used to be Thursdays, but anyways, there are weekly teachings that are free of course. Everybody's welcome to join teaching, and that is also one of Geshe-la's dream and his goal and his practice is that bring the best teachers and scholars to Deer Park, and then offer teachings for free of cost. That was his dream. He never want to charge for teachings. He was just like, we will provide the best teachers available, and then it's up to the people to whether to come and join and take classes and practice for yourself, take advantage of the opportunity. So yeah, so we are all blessed and very lucky. It's open for everyone.
It's incredible that Oregon, Wisconsin is on the map you can meet people from India or Nepal who know right where Deer Park Buddhist Center is in this small town in Wisconsin.
Yeah, and then also that is also one of the reasons, because Geshe is here, then His Holiness the Dalai Lama has visited so many times, and so we also have that get to see His Holiness so often. Because of one of the reason is that Geshe and Deer Park is here. Yeah, so many good things come out of it.
Well, and just like Geshe really had this mission to preserve the teachings of the Buddha and Tibetan Buddhism, one of the things that we did in this project is to translate the digital book and make audio tracks in Tibetan for our resources. And you actually provided the voice for the audiobook version of his story in Tibetan. So thank you for lending your voice. And
you're welcome. It was
mention about the importance of preserving and teaching Tibetan language for the community in exile as we have new generations of children growing up outside of Tibet.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was a privilege. I'm like so happy to be part of that, and it was quite an experience for me too, doing the voiceover and recording voice for the Tibetan, the part of the project, and definitely, as Geshe taught at the University of UW-Madison here. And now I teach here, and kind of trying to fill in the shoes, but it's hard. But I'm doing my best. I'm teaching, offering courses on Tibetan language, and Tibetan culture course, and then Tibetan Buddhism as well. So it is growing, slowly, gradually, growing interest, of practicing and learning about Buddhism and Tibetan culture as well. And also I also teach at the Tibetan Sunday school, where we have about 60 little kids, age ranging from 6 to 14 or so. So we work hard to preserve and keep our language and culture alive. And given the situation in Tibet, the policy for the minority languages are changing, and so here, Tibetan people living outside, Tibet in the exile community, we have to do every possible thing, that we could to preserve our culture and language, and then, other aspects of our Tibetan culture.
Jampa, thank you so much for joining me today. Who knows, there might be a fourth grader who's going to watch this in their classroom who will become one of your UW-Madison students in the future. And I'm so appreciative to everyone who tuned in with us here today. I encourage you all to check out the entire collection of people making history in the Wisconsin Biographies collection and the rest of our award-winning classroom media at pbswisconsineducation.org. And we can answer any questions in the chat after the live stream ends. Thanks for being with us. Tuchache, Jampa.
Tojiche. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for watching this Badger Talks live event produced by the University of Wisconsin-Madison through UW Connect's outreach and the Office of State Relations. Follow us on Facebook and YouTube to see the library of past recorded talks. Please visit badgertalks.wisc.edu to see the schedule of upcoming talks, sign up for the Badger Talks email list, and search the roster of over 400 UW experts who are available to give talks on important issues in your Wisconsin